Chapter 8 Challenges to Democracy Social Science Democratic Politics Part 2 Textbook in Political Science for Class 10th. Chapter 8 Challenges to Democracy Overview. This concluding chapter draw upon all that you have learned in the last 2 years so as to address the fundamental question of democratic politics. What are the challenges that democracy face in our country and elsewhere? What can be done to reform democratic politics? How can our democracy become more democratic in its practice and outcomes? This chapter does not answer these questions. It only makes some suggestion about the way in which we can approach the question of challenge and reforms. It invites you to think on your own and come up with your own reading of the challenges, your recipe of how to overcome these, and your own definition of democracy. Thinking about challenges. Do you remember the chapter of your political science textbook of class 9th? There we tracked the expansion of democracy all over the world. Our reading thereafter have confirmed our initial impression. Democracy is the dominant form of government in the contemporary world. It does not face a serious challenge or rival. Yet your exploration of various dimensions of democratic politics have shown us something else as well. The promise of democracy is far from realized anywhere in the world. Democracy does not have a challenger, but that does not mean that it does not face any challenges. At different point in this store of democracy, we have noted the serious challenges that democracy face all over the world. A challenge is not just any problem. We usually call only those difficulties a challenge which are significant and which can be overcome. A challenge is a difficulty that carries within an opportunity for progress. Once we overcome a challenge, we go up to a higher level than before. Different countries face different kind of challenges. At least 1/4 of the globe is still not under democratic government. The challenge for democracy in this part of the world is very stark. These countries face the foundational challenge of making the transition to democracy and then instituting democratic government. This involves bringing down the existing non-democratic regimes, keeping military away from controlling government, and establishing a sovereign and functional state. Most of the established democracy face the challenge of expansion. This involves applying the basic principle of democratic government across all the religions, different social groups, and various institutions, ensuring greater power to the local government, extension of federal principle to all the units of federation, inclusions of women and minority groups, etc., falls under this challenge. This also means that less and less decisions should remain outside the arena of democratic control. Most countries, including India and other democracies like the US, face this challenge. The third challenge of deepening of democracy is faced by every democracy in one form or another. This involves strengthening of the institution and practices of democracy. This should happen in such a way that people can realize their expectation of democracy. But ordinary people have different expectations from democracy in different societies. Therefore, this challenge takes different meaning and path in different parts of the world. In general term, it usually means strengthening those institutions that helps people's participations and control. This requires an attempt to bring down the control and influence of the rich and powerful people in making governmental decisions. We have noted or hinted that these challenges in all the various examples and stories that we studied in our textbook of class 9 and an earlier chapter of the book Let us go back to all the major stops on our tour of democracy, refresh our memory, and note down these challenges that democracy face in each of these. Different context, different challenges. Each of these cartoons represent a challenge to democracy. Please describe what that challenge is. Also place it in one of the three categories mentioned in the first section. Different type of challenges. Now that you have noted down all these challenges, let us group these together into some broad categories. Given below are some spheres or sides of democratic politics. You may place against each of these the specific challenge that you noted for one or more countries or cartoon in the previous section. In addition to that, write one item for India for each of these spheres. In case you find that some challenges do not fit into any of the category given below, you can create new category and put some item under that. Let us group them again. This time by the nature of these challenges as per the classification suggested in the first section. For each of these categories, find at least one example from India as well. Now let us think only about India. Think of all the challenges that democracy face in contemporary India. List those 5 that should be addressed first of all. The listing should be in the order of priority. That is, the challenge you find most important or pressing should be mentioned at number 1 and so on. Give one example of that challenge and your reason for assigning it to priority. Thinking about political reform. Each of these challenges is linked to possibility of reform. As mentioned above, we discuss challenges only because we think these can be overcome. Generally, all the suggestions or proposals about overcoming various challenges to democracy are called democracy reform or political reform. We are not going to give here a list of desirable political reform, for there cannot be any such list. If all the countries do not have such challenges, it follows that everyone can follow the same recipe of political reform. We cannot prescribe a procedure for a car repair without knowing which model the car is, what the defect is, and what tools are available, where the car has broken down, etc. Can we at least have a list of such reforms for our country in today's context? We can develop some proposals for reform at the national level, but the real challenge of reform may not lie at the national level. Some of the crucial questions need to be thought at the state or local level. Besides, such a list may become irrelevant after some time. So instead of that, let us think of some broad guidelines that can be kept in mind while devising way and mean for political reform in India. It is very tempting to think of legal way of reforming politics, to think of new laws to ban undesirable things. But this temptation need to be resisted. No doubt law has an important role to play in political reform. Carefully devised changes in law can help to discourage wrong political practices and encourage good ones. But legal constitutional changes by themselves cannot overcome challenges to democracy. This is like the rule of cricket. A change in rule for LBW decisions help to reduce negative batting tactics. But no one would ever think that the quality of cricket could be improved mainly through the changes in the rule. This is to be done mainly by the player, coaches, and administrators. Similarly, democratic reforms are to be carried out mainly by political activists, parties, movements, and politically conscious citizens. Any legal change must carefully look at what result it will have on politics. Sometimes the result may be counterproductive. For example, many states have banned people who have more than two children for contesting panchayat election. This has resulted in denial of democratic opportunity to many poor and women which was not intended. Generally, laws that seek to ban something are not very successful in politics. Laws that give political actors incentive to do good things have more chances of working. The best laws are those which empower people to carry out democratic reform. The Right to Information Act is a good example of a law that empowers the people to find out what is happening in government and act as watchdogs of democracy. Such a law helps to control corruption and supplement the existing law that banned corruption and imposed strict penalties. Democratic reforms are to be brought about principle through political practice. Therefore, the main focus of political reform should be on the way to strengthen democratic practices. As we discussed in the chapter on political parties, the most important concern should be to increase and improve the quality of political participation by ordinary citizens. Any proposal for political reform should think not only about what is a good solution but also about who will implement it and how. It is not very wise to think that the legislature will pass legislation that go against the interest of all the political parties and MPs. But measures that rely on democratic movements, citizens, organizations, and the media are likely to succeed. Let us keep this general guideline in mind and look at some specific instances of challenges to democracy that require some measures to reform. Let us try to come up with some concrete proposals of reform. Here are some challenges that require political reforms. Discuss these challenges in detail. Study the reform option offered here and give your preferred solution with reason. Remember that none of the options offered here is right or wrong. You can opt for a mix of more than one option or come up with something that is not offered here. But you must give your solution in detail and offer reason for your choice. Doctor Absences Challenge. Uttar Pradesh government got a survey done and find out that most of the doctors posted in rural primary health center are simply not there. They live in a town, carry out private practice and visit the village where they are posted only once or twice in the entire month. Villagers have to travel to town and pay very high fees to private doctor even for common alignments. Reform proposal. The government should make it compulsory for the doctor to live in village where they are posted. Otherwise, their service should be terminated. District administration and police should carry out surprise raids to check the attendance of the doctors. Village panchayat should be given the power to write the annual report of the doctor, which should be read out in the Gram Sabha meeting. Problems like this can be solved only if Uttar Pradesh is split into several small states which can be administered more efficiently. Political funding challenge. On an average, every candidate who contested the last Lok Sabha election owned a property of more than rupees 1 crore. There is a fear that only wealthy people or those with their support can afford the fight elections. Most of the political parties are dependent on money given by big business houses. The worry is that the role of money in politics will reduce whatever little voice the poor have in our democracy. Reform proposal. The financial account of every political party should be made public. These accounts should be examined by government auditors. There should be a state funding of election. Parties should be given some money by the government to meet their election expenditure. Citizens should be encouraged to give more donation to parties and to political workers. Such donations should be exempt from income tax, reforming politics. Rose managed to catch Madame Leon outside the classroom, something she has been planning to do for some time. Ma'am, I really like that Canadian cartoon. Rose needed something to open the conversation. Which one? Madame Langdo could not recall. Ma'am, the one which says 98% Canadian want all the politicians to be locked in the trunk of the car and thrown into Niagara Falls. I was thinking of our politician. We would need a bigger vehicle and a river as mighty as Brahmaputra. Lingoy's man smiled at Rose. Like most Indians, she is also very much unhappy with the way politicians of the country have been behaving and running the party and the government. But she wanted Rose to appreciate the complexity of the problem. Do you think that do you think our problem will be solved if we get rid of our politicians? He asked. Yes, ma'am. Aren't these mean politicians responsible for all the problem in our country? I mean corruption, defection, casteism, communal violence, criminality, etc. Everything. Limdoy ma'am. So we all need is to get rid of the current a lot. Are you sure that those who replace them will not do these things? Rose, well, I had not thought of it, but maybe not. Maybe we will get leaders of better character. Nangdoi, madam, I agree with you that the situation will change if people show more care and alertness to reject corrupt and bad politicians and elect the good one. And maybe all politicians are not corrupt. How can you say that, ma'am? Interrupted Rose. Lingdoi, madam, I did not say that politicians are not corrupt. Maybe when you think of politicians, you think of these big people whose photos appear in newspaper. I think of political leaders that I have. I don't think that political leaders I know are more corrupt than my own colleagues, government official, contractor, or other middle class professional that I know. The corruption of politicians is more visible, and we get the impression that all political politicians are corrupt. Some of them are, and some of them are not. Rose did not give up. Ma'am, what I mean is that there should be a strict law to curb corruption and wrong practices like appeal to caste and community. Lingdoi, ma'am, I am not sure, Rose. For one thing, there is already a law banning any appeal to caste and religion in politics. Politicians find a way to bypass that. Law can have little impact unless people resist, attempt to mislead and divide people in the name of caste and religion. You cannot have democracy in a real sense unless people and politicians overcome the barrier of caste and religion. Redefining democracy. We began this tour of democracy last year with the minimal definition of democracy. Do you remember that? This is what chapter 2 of your textbook said last year. Democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. We then looked at many cases and expanded the definition slightly to add some more qualification. The ruler elected by people must take all the major decisions. Election must offer a choice and fair opportunity to people to change the current rulers. This choice and opportunity should be available to all the people on an equal basis, and the exercise of this choice must lead to the government limited by basic rules of constitution and citizens' right. You may have felt disappointed that the definition did not refer to any high ideal that we associated with democracy. But in operational terms, we deliberately started with the minimalist but clear definition of democracy. It allowed us to make a clear distinction between democratic and non democratic regime. You may have noticed that in the course of our discussion of various aspects of democratic government and politics, we have gone beyond the definition. We discussed democratic right at the length and noted that these rights are not limited to the right to vote, stand in election, and form political organization. We discussed some social and economic rights that democracy should offer to their citizens. We have taken up power sharing as a spirit of democracy and discussed how power sharing between government and social group is necessary in a democracy. We saw how democracy cannot be a brute rule of majority and how a respect of minority voice is necessary for democracy. Our discussion of democracy has gone beyond the government and its activities. We decided how eliminating discrimination based on caste, religion, and gender is important in a democracy. Finally, we have some discussion about some outcomes that one can expect from a democracy. In doing so, we have not gone against the definition of democracy offered last year. We begin then with the definition of is the minimum what is the minimum a country must have to be called a democracy. In the course of our discussion, we move to the set of desirable conditions that a democracy should have. We have moved from a definition of democracy to the description of good democracy. How do we define a good democracy? What are its features? Which are the features a democracy must have to be called a good democracy? And what must not take place in a democracy if it is a good democracy? Here is a space for writing your own definition of good democracy. Thank you.